Hi everyone, welcome to my Game Week 29 tips video. Free hit special. You've probably looked at your team and thought, where are all my players gone? Why is my team looking so weak? Well, that's because blank Game Week 29 is finally here. So in this video, I'm going to cover, should you use your free hit this game week? If you do use it, what are the best free hit teams? Also, the best players to bring in and the best captaincy for Game Week 29. Now, if all of this sounds good to you, do me a favor, drop a like and subscribe. Let's get straight into it. Should you even use your free hit in Game Week 29? Well, if you have a look at the fixture list, the first thing you notice, there's less games. And the reason for that is 4 teams are not playing. You can see Aston Villa, Crystal Palace, Liverpool and Newcastle are all missing Game Week 29. That's because Liverpool and Newcastle meet in the EFL Cup final this weekend. And to answer your question whether you should use free hit or not, that all depends on how many of these players you have in your squad. For example, if you look at this team here on the screen, there's 4 players that actually play this weekend. And it's made up of loads of Liverpool players, Crystal Palace players, Newcastle players, meaning it's very difficult to put out a starting 11. Now, what I would say here, I personally would use a free hit. There's only 4 players that are starting. The only way you possibly couldn't use a free hit here is if you've got 5 free transfers, which is quite rare at this time of the season. But apart from that, I think a free hit is perfect here, especially if you want to keep these Crystal Palace Liverpool players for Game Week 30, because the one advantage of using a free hit, you can get the best team out for Game Week 29, and after that, you reverts back to this team here. In Team 2, you can see here, we have 8 playing players, which is much better. In this situation, if you've got 1 or 2 free transfers, you can easily get to 10 players, which is perfect for me. I think 8, 9 or 10 players, especially if they're good quality players and potential captain candidates, we'll talk about captaincy later on by the way, I think that's more than enough and you don't need to use a free hit. You could possibly even take a couple of hits to bring your team up to 11 starting players, which puts you in a really good position. So me personally, I wouldn't use a free hit on this team, but you get in the comments and let me know if you would. And the third example I want to show you is Team 3. Now, this one has 10 players starting. Yes, Munoz doesn't start and the bench doesn't start. These are all my star players in theory that I do not want to get rid of. So you have a choice here. You can use one of your transfers to make it 11, but of course you're taking out a player that you might want to bring back in for Game Week 30. But me personally, in this scenario here, I would definitely not use a free hit. I would use my free transfer, maybe even take a hit to cover the best players in Game Week 29 and the captaincy, and I would keep my free hit for later on in the season. So as you can see, it's team dependent. It all depends on how many players you've got starting. If you're in a 3, 4, 5 player scenario, I would really consider using your free hit unless you have loads of transfers. If you have 8, 9, 10 players starting, for me personally, I would keep the free hit and use it more aggressively in another game week. If I was going to use my free hit chip in Game Week 29, I think my team would look something like this. Now have a look on the screen here, we're going to run through it. As you can see, I've got 6 penalty takers, so that's the first thing I want to tell you. So you can see Haaland, Wood, Kluivert, Mbeumo, Fernandes and Palmer, all penalty takers. You know that's a big tick for us FPL managers. The second thing I want you to notice is I've gone for double Nottingham Forest defence, so Aina and Sells in goal. The reason for this is they've kept 3 clean sheets from the last 5 games, and throughout the season they've been astonishing defensively, so I'm more than happy to double up in that defence. The other noticeable thing you will see is I've gone for double Manchester City. Yes, I know they've had a shaky season, but recently they've only lost 3 from the last 10 games. I think they're starting to turn it around in preparation for next season. I've gone for 8 Nori, mainly because of that fixture against Southampton. As we've seen, they're one of the worst teams ever in Premier League history, and he's a pretty attacking fullback with decent XG. Yes, I know Wolves aren't the best team, but they are playing the worst team. Double Bournemouth in midfield. Every week I watch them, I'm super impressed. I'm comfortable with having them in my free hit team, even though the majority of managers out there who have been planning good, hopefully you've seen in my videos that we've been buying these Bournemouth players, and I think at their price point they've been delivering. Mbeumo playing a very difficult fixture in Brentford, but I do think the way they press and play such a high line, very aggressive in trying to win the ball back, he's the kind of player that's going to capitalise and running in behind, he will get a couple of chances. Bruno Fernandes, 3 returns from the last 3 games, 10 points, 10 points, 9 points. He's actually been excellent for a team that's really struggling, and the reason he's in here, apart from the penalty set pieces that I said, last 3 games he's returned, he's also playing Leicester, which is a gorgeous fixture. And in Game Week 29, the fixtures are not ideal, so it's been pretty difficult to put this team together actually. The last midfielder is Palmer, who has been stinking up all our teams. Very expensive, no returns. I captained him in the last 2 game weeks, so you can feel the pain. He's even missing penalties now. He's never missed them before, and he's even starting to miss them. So it's not a good look. So you ask, why is he here? Well, the reason is I don't really have many options. You could go for a Morgan Gibbs White, but I've already tripled up on Nottingham Forest. You could go for a Foden or a Doku or a Savinho, but the Man City midfielders don't exactly fill me with confidence. Normally, Son would be the perfect person to bring in, but his minutes and form's not been great as well. So now you can see why I'm still there. I could change it, but for now, in the time of putting this video together, I kept him in. And up top, I've got Chris Wood partnering Haaland, a perfect partnership for this game week 29. Both potential captain candidates. As you can see, I've currently got it on Haaland, but we'll discuss this in more detail later. And on the bench, I've got Onana playing Leicester, Larson, Kirkes and Mikalenko. 1.7 million in the bank. There's enough money to even improve that. But for now, I just wanted to put this team together. And my team value is not incredible, so you could possibly bring in even better players. I've had a quick look at the predicted points using the Fantasy Football Scout model. And as you can see, it's predicting 55 points, which might not look great, but trust me, in a game week like this, where most managers could be fielding 6, 7, 8 players returning maybe 30 points, you could be making a 20, 25 points gain on them. And as you know in FPL, that's incredible. Whether you're free hitting or not free hitting in game week 29, this is a list of the best players to bring in. I'll start with the defenders first. As you can see in this list here, some of them I've already covered in my free hit team, but Aina for me makes the team. Or to be honest, if you don't want to go Aina and his budget constraints, you could go one of the other Nottingham Forest defenders, but I love the Nottingham Forest defense. I love the fixture. For me, one of the Nottingham Forest defenders has to be into your team, whether it's the goalkeeper or the defenders, it's not a problem, just some defensive cover. Nori, I spoke about him earlier on as well, potential attacking returns and playing Southampton, the worst team. And in a reverse fixture, they kept a clean sheet as well. Vardyol's the bit of the wild card pick here. The reason I say this, Man City defensively have not been great, and we normally pick Vardy when he's playing that very attacking role as the left back inverting in, normally at the edge of the box. We've not seen that much this season, and in fact, his last 4 game weeks, his XG has been nothing. This is a pretty big gamble, and I'm basing this pick on that Man City beat Brighton by 2-3 goals. It's a home fixture. They're going to want to bounce back after losing to Nottingham Forest, but you could easily swap him for someone who's super consistent like Gabriel. They're playing Chelsea. Very toothless. Next up, let's have a look at the midfielders, and I'm going to start with Bruno. I said earlier on, in the last 3 games, he's returned 29 points, which is very good when you consider he's been playing for Manchester United, who have not been playing well, and the upcoming fixture is really good. He's predicted 5.45, but I think he supersedes that with just 1 attacking return. Kluivert being a revelation, you saw his goal against Spurs. He's playing the football of his life at the moment, and he's currently got 67 points in the last 8 games. I mean, tell me if that's not incredible for a player that's priced that cheap. And the last midfield I want to recommend is Semenyo, Kluivert's midfield partner. I really like Bournemouth. You can tell I'm high on them by the amount of players in my list. The fixture's good, his predicted points is good, and even the fixtures after game week 29 are excellent. So even if you're not free hitting and you're bringing them in, it's okay. They can stay in your team for a couple of more game weeks. And up top, I'm going to start with Chris Wood, the man that only needs half a chance to score 2 goals. He's been a revelation this season. Yes, he's blanked the last 2 game weeks, but it has been Man City and Arsenal. Before then, he was returning super consistently, penalty taker, and predicted near 5 points this game week. He's an excellent pick and a potential captaincy as well. Haaland makes the team, excellent fixture, a home fixture. He's been returning recently, 7 returns from the last 9 games, which is pretty good. And he's predicted the highest for this game week actually, which is 6.5. Near 7 points. I think a lot of managers who bring him in will potentially captain him. And the last strike I want to show you is another Bournemouth player. I did say earlier on, I'm really hot on Bournemouth. Even Alisson in my team, I think he's a perfect player. You saw the goal he scored against Tottenham. Comes straight into his stride. He's looking pretty sharp considering he's missed quite a lot of games through injury. He took Dango's spot instantaneously, which tells you the manager has faith in him, so his minutes should be good. Fixture's good. For me, he takes up the last striker spot. It was pretty tight between Larson from Wolves because they're playing Southampton, but I do prefer the quality of the team, Bournemouth. No Mohamed Salah for game week 29. So who are you going to captain? Now, the majority have been captaining this guy all season, and I don't blame them. Every time you've gone against him, like I've tried, we've been punished. He's been relentless. Currently the best player in the world, does not stop returning, super consistent, and breaking every Premier League record looks like this season. So for all you Mo Salah perma captainers, what are you going to do this game week? Now we need to try find a different candidate, and looking through the fixtures, Everton v West Ham, I don't see a captain candidate. I mean, are you brave enough to go Bowen or Beto? Nah. Ipswich v Nottingham Forest. Yep, there's a potential candidate there, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. Man City v Brighton, 100% there's a captain there. You know who that's going to be. Southampton versus Wolves? No chance. Bournemouth versus Brentford? Potentially someone like a Clivert. Does he make my top 3 list? We're going to run through that in a minute. Arsenal versus Chelsea. Is there a captain in this fixture? Odegaard, you wouldn't back him, and Palmer at the moment has been stinking up the place. I think the majority of us are scared to captain him again. Fulham versus Spurs. A couple of years back we might have gone for Son, but recently I think too many are scared for his minutes and form. And the last game of game week 29, Leicester versus Manchester United. Believe it or not, there is a captaincy option in this fixture, and we're going to talk about them right now. So my top 3 captains for this game week is Haaland being number 1. Now he's currently got 62 points from his last 9 games, takes penalties, it's a home fixture, and as I said, Man City are looking to finish the season really strong in preparation for next season and to make sure they get that top 4 Champions League spot. My second favourite option is Chris Wood. He currently has 78 points from his last 10 games. Like I said, very consistent. Don't be afraid from his last 2 blanks, they were difficult fixtures. Ticks a lot of the boxes, takes the penalties, got the minutes, and has got a lovely fixture. So I definitely like him and he's my second favourite captain candidate. And my third best captaincy for this game week is Bruno Fernandes. 29 points from his last 3 games. He's been a man on a mission to keep Manchester United above the relegation zone. And the fixture is perfect. Leicester, they're going to free up chances. They give away fouls. And when you look at Bruno, penalty takers, set pieces, you saw his stunning free kick against Arsenal. He's got that in his locker. He's definitely a potential captain candidate for this game week. But that's my order. If you got Haaland, I think you captain him. If you don't have him, I think Chris Wood is the next best thing. And after that, I would go Bruno personally if I own him. If you don't own him, you can go someone like Clivert or Mbumo. Get in the comments and let me know what you think about my captaincy picks. If you're not activating the free hit, please don't make any transfers. Wait until the end of the week. And the reason for that is we have midweek games, and not just any midweek games, very difficult ones. The second leg of the Champions League. So Aston Villa, Liverpool and Arsenal have very tricky fixtures. Yes, Aston Villa and Arsenal look in a good position, but Liverpool, very tricky fixture. We could pick up injuries in these fixtures. And in the Europa League, we've got Tottenham and Manchester United. I'm talking about someone like Bruno coming into your team, potentially being a captain. What if he gets injured? Manchester United fixture against Real Sociedad is another example. Very tricky fixture, very evenly poised, so the full strength team will be playing. I hope you enjoyed the video, but more importantly, I hope you found the video useful. Get in the comments and let me know what you're doing in game week 29. Free hit or you're just using transfers. Before you jump off to your next video, do me a favor, drop a like and subscribe. I'm trying to reach my next milestone and I can only do that with your help, so I really appreciate that. If you're interested in joining my weekly predictions league, which I run every deadline stream, you're more than welcome to join. It's free. All you need to be a subscriber, get your notifications on so you know when I'm live. There's a monthly prize, which is excellent. We've already had about 5 winners, so it's good fun. It's easy to do. All you need to know is when I'm on live, so get those notifications on.